Again, welcome to the course. The topic of the lecture is scanning. In previous lecture, we have talked about different ways to gather information about your target, but knowing basic information is not enough. So in this lecture, we shall discuss how to gather specific details of your target using network scanning. Okay. The topics covered in this lecture are what is network scanning, types of network scanning, tools used for network scanning, and how to use network scanning tool Nmap. Maybe you already use some of Nmap commands, but in this lecture we will discuss formal description of Nmap. Okay. Okay. Start with what is network scanning. Network scanning is the procedure of identifying active host ports and services used by the target application. Suppose you are an ethical hacker and want to find vulnerabilities in the system. Means you need a point in the system that you can try to attack. Network scanning is used to find out these vulnerable points in the system that a hacker can use to hack a network. So every organization has a network, and this network could be an internal network or it can be a network connected to the internet. In any case, if attacker wants to hack the network, he must have to find a vulnerable point in the network that could be exploited. Okay. Network scanning is mainly used for security assessment, security maintenance, and also for performing attacks by hackers. It means scanning is performed by pen testers to detect the possibility of network security attacks, and scanning also led hackers to identify vulnerabilities such as missing patches, unnecessary services, weak authentication, or weak encryption algorithm. So, a pen tester and ethical hacker list down all such vulnerabilities found in an organization's network. Next comes to types of network scanning. First one is live host scanning. This scanning is used to discover live host on the network, IP addresses of host, and open ports of the target machine. Port scanning. It is used to discover open ports and services running on that ports. Operating system scanning to discover operating system and its versions running on the target machine. Service scanning to discover version of the services running on the target machine. And vulnerability scanning to discover vulnerability on the target machine. Next, tools used for network scanning. There are lots of tools that we can use for network scanning. Some of them are listed here, like Nmap, ZenMap, Nessus, Nexpose, Acunetics, and many more tools. Okay, here I am going to discuss Nmap tool, how Nmap is used to perform network scanning. Network Mapper. As you all know, Nmap is a very important tool for security auditing. The tool can be used for a variety of purposes like network discovery, host on network, and so on. Network Mapper, as the name implies, creates map of network. And map provides information of networks like what are the hosts available on the network, what services they are using, which ports are open, what vulnerability exists. Actually, it uses for information gathering of networks. Nmap is a free and open source network scanner. Nmap is used to discover hosts and services on a computer networks by sending packets and analyzing the responses. Nmap provides a number of features for probing computer networks, including host discovery and service and operating system detection. These features are extensible by scripts that provide more advanced service detection, vulnerability detection, and other features. Nmap started as a Linux utility and was ported to other systems, including Windows and Mac operating systems. It is most popular on Linux, followed by Windows. Now comes to Nmap features. So Nmap features include host discovery. Host discovery means which hosts are alive. Means identifying host on a network. For example, listing the hosts that respond to TCP and ICMP request. Next one is port scanning. Means what services are available, enumerating the open ports on target host. Next one is version detection. Already discussed which version is running on the target machine. Means interrogating network services on remote devices to determine application name and version number. Operating system detection. Determining the operating system and hardware characteristics of network devices. And last one is scriptable interaction with the target. Nmap is using Nmap scripting engine and Lua programming language. Nmap can provide further information on targets, including reverse DNS names, device types, and MAC addresses. Okay. So we start with the host discovery. What is host discovery? Host discovery means what are the hosts currently active in the network, and this is the first step of hacking or pen testing. Here we send some query packet to host. If you send query packets to multiple hosts, generally it is called ping sweep. Means we are pinging different hosts to find out which are alive. But it does not mean that you are always sending ping command. We are using different techniques for host discovery, like ICMP sweep, broadcast ICMP, non-echo ICMP, TCP sweep, and UDP sweep. Here we will discuss some of the host discovery techniques in the coming slides. Okay. Here I am going to discuss host discovery using ICMP sweep. So first we have to understand what is ICMP sweep. As we know, ICMP is a protocol running in the network, and ICMP request and reply packets are used to check whether the host in the network is alive or not. In ICMP, there are a number of request type packets. So there is a packet called ICMP echo request packet. ICMP echo request packet is of type 8 packet. So type field of the ICMP packet contains number 8. When attacker sends an ICMP echo request packet, what host will send? Most probably it will send ICMP echo reply packet of type 0 if the host is alive. Okay. And if no response is coming from the target, means target is not alive or target is down. Pictorially, you can see here an attacker is sending ICMP echo request packet to the target. And if the target is responding back with ICMP echo reply packet, means target is up and running. In the next figure, you can see attacker is sending ICMP echo request packet to the target, but no response is coming from the target. It means either target is down or there are some firewalls which are filtering your packets. So either it is down or filtered. Okay. So by default, Nmap uses all types of sweep operation in common scanning options. Means if you're not setting any flags, then Nmap uses all sweep operations for scanning of network. Here I am using simple nmap command for host discovery. Simply write nmap and target domain name if you do not know the IP address of target name. If you know the target IP address, then simply write the command nmap and target IP address. It will show you whether the target host is up or not. Target IP addresses and also information about ports. As you can see here, I am scanning for domain facebook.com, just writing the command nmap and facebook.com. And you can see here nmap scan report for facebook.com. It is showing its IP address 157.240.16.35 and it is also showing host is up. Okay. And other information is port number 80 and port number 443 is open and services running are HTTP and HTTPS. Commands that uses all types of sweep operation except UDP sweep are -sp or -sn, -sl, -pn, etc. Here I am showing examples of -sp command for host discovery. This command is used to print all or some specific host on the network which are up and running. Here I am again scanning the same target facebook.com. Now I know the IP address of facebook.com which is 157.240.16.35. So type the command nmap dash small s capital P and target IP address 157.240.16.35. Now it is showing host is up. Okay. You can also scan a network range for host discovery. Means you can scan a network range to find all the hosts in the network which are up and running. In this screenshot, I am scanning a network range from 157.240.16.30 to 157.240.16.35 and it is showing all the 6 hosts are up. Nmap scan report for 157.240.16.30 host is up. Scan report for 157.240.16.31 host is up. All the 6 hosts are up here. Okay. Now comes to port scanning. So start with what is port. Suppose there is a server machine and number of services are running there and each of the services are listening to a particular port number. Like Telnet listens to port number 23, HTTP listens to port number 80 and HTTPS listens to port number 443 and SMTP listens to port number 25 and so on. So when a request is coming to the server machine, different port numbers are listening for a particular service on that port. So in port scanning, we are trying to find out what services are running, means listening on a particular port number. Each running TCP service is associated with the port number in which server or machine listens for incoming connections to provide connections oriented service. In contrast to TCP, each running UDP services is associated with the port number but not listens because it provides connectionless service. Various port scanning techniques are in Nmap. Here we are discussing some like TCP connect scan, TCP SYN scan, and TCP stealth scan. Okay, before discussing any of the port scanning technique, first we have to understand how TCP connection is established between the client and server. So in this slide, we discuss TCP connection establishment process. Okay, you can see here, there is here one client machine and one server machine. And client wants to establish a connection with server to transmit data. Uh, TCP connection establishment is a three-step process that requires both the client and server to exchange synchronization and acknowledgement packets before the real data communication process starts. So in the first step, the client initiates a connection with the server. It sends a TCP packet with sequence number and SYN flag set and informs the server about the client wants to start communication and with what should be its sequence number. Here, for example, I am taking sequence number 100 and set the SYN flag value 1. In step 2, server responds to the client request by sending a TCP packet with another random sequence number and SYN and acknowledgement flag set. Here, the server sends a TCP packet with sequence number 200 and acknowledgement number is 101 and SYN and acknowledgement flag value set to 1 to establish a connection. Here, with the help of acknowledgement packet, client receives confirmation from server about the receipt of the first SYN packet. Here, acknowledgement packet contains the value 101, which shows that server receives the packet which has the value 100 and expecting next packet from the client. Okay. Now the last step is step 3, and in this final step, the client acknowledges the response of the server by sending the next packet with sequence number 101 and acknowledgement number is 201. And finally, connection established between client and server, and after that actual data transfer start between client and server. This TCP connection establishment process is also called TCP three-way handshake. Okay. Okay. Let's start with the TCP connect scan. TCP connect scan is the default TCP scan type when SYN scan is not an option. In this port scanning technique, Nmap asks the underlying operating system to establish a connection with the target machine and port by issuing the connect system call. This scan can be used to check whether the port is open or not, but this kind of a scan is easily detected by the system administrator by using the system log, because all the valid TCP connections are recorded in the system log. If we are talking about its working, here we basically utilizes the TCP connection establishment mechanism, means complete three-way handshake. Attacker or the person who is doing this port scanning tries to complete this three-way handshake on particular port number, and if it finds that this three-way handshake is successful, means that particular port number is open. means there is server who is listening on that particular port number. This slide shows the graphical representation of TCP Connect Scan. In the first step, the attacker or the person who wants to do port scanning first sends a TCP SYN packet to a particular port number, and if the service is running on that port number, then in second step, target respond back with the SYN acknowledgement packet. And finally, attacker respond back by sending acknowledgement packet. Here we can conclude that the port is open. But if you send a SYN packet to a particular port number and that service is not running in that port number, then the target respond back with the reset acknowledgement packet. RST is for reset. And reset flag is set means it wants to terminate the connection. And it means port is closed. Okay. Next come to TCP SYN scan. Here the mechanism is different from TCP connect scan. Here also we are using the same TCP three-way handshake mechanism to establish a connection, but here first we are sending SYN packet and the target server is responding back with the SYN acknowledgement packets. But here the attacker is not sending acknowledgement packet in server's response. It is sending reset packet to terminate the connection. So TCP connection is not established here. That's why it is called half open connection. In this technique, the connection is not completed, so connection information is not recorded in logs. If you receive SYN acknowledgement packet from server, you conclude that it is listening, means port is open, and you immediately send reset packet to terminate the connection. Okay. And if you receive reset acknowledgement packet from server, you conclude that it is not listening, means port is closed. Here you can see in first picture, attacker is sending SYN packet to target server, and if the server is up, means port is open, then the server sends back SYN acknowledgement packet. Once attacker receives SYN acknowledgement packet, it immediately sends reset packet to terminate the connection. Because here the objective of attacker is port scanning, not connection establishment. In this second picture, you can see attacker is sending SYN packet to target server, but the server sends back reset acknowledgement packet, means port is closed. Now comes to TCP stealth scan. There are some sophisticated scans are also available in Nmap, like stealth scan. Stealth means you are hiding something which no one can detect. Means you are doing port scanning while avoiding detection. Okay, let us try to understand how to avoid detection in this technique. Suppose your packets are hiding within the normal network traffic. So firewall or intrusion detection system, whatever installed in the target system, is not able to distinguish your packet as malicious packet, and they are also not logged. Okay, now let us see how it works. Here attacker is sending some probe packets. Probe packets means wrong packets. Means generally we are sending TCP SYN packet to establish a connection. But here instead of SYN packets, we are sending FIN or reset packet. FIN means finish packet or reset packet to terminate the connection. And respond is coming back from closed ports, not from open ports. So attacker determines what services do not exist and can infer the ones that exist. So here it is difficult to detect because you're looking for closed ports, not for open ports. And also it is not logged. And there are various ways to perform this scan. You can send reset packet or fin packet with fin flag set. Normally, these packets are not used for initiating a connection. That's why these packets are called wrong packets. Got it? Okay, when attack here you can see when attacker is sending a probe packet to target and if no response is coming back from target, so you can conclude that the port is open. And when you're sending a probe packet to target and if the target is sending reset acknowledgement packet and response means port is closed. Here port scanning, I'm showing port scanning examples. Commands for port scan is dash st dash p and give range of port numbers, then target IP address. Okay, here I'm using same facebook.com IP address 157.240.16.35. So simply tap the command nmap dash small s capital T for scanning and then dash p for port numbers and give the range of port numbers. Here I am giving range from 0 to 1000 and then target IP address. Here you can see only two ports are open, port 80 and port 443. Both ports are using TCP and the services running are HTTP and HTTPS. One thing you can also see here marked red, not shown 999 filtered ports and one column named state showing open for port 80 and 443. So what it means? These are showing current state of ports which you scanned. The port state can be open, closed, filtered, unfiltered, open filtered, or close filtered. So what are meaning of these states? Open means open ports actually actively respond to an incoming connection. Closed ports are actively respond to a probe but not running any services. Closed ports are generally found in systems where no firewalls are placed to filter the incoming packets. Filtered ports are typically protected by firewalls that prevent Nmap to determine whether the ports are open or closed. And next is unfiltered ports. Nmap can access the unfiltered ports but not determine whether the ports are open or closed. Other option can be open filtered. Open filtered is a port which Nmap believes to be open or filtered but cannot determine actual state of port. Similarly, closed filtered port is a port that Nmap believes to be closed or filtered but cannot determine which state actually the port in. Other port scanning options in Nmap. Here I am using under port scanning command. Command is nmap, then specify the port numbers to be scanned using -p option and target IP address. It is showing the same result as earlier port scanning command shown 999 filtered ports means not to determine whether the port is open or closed. Only two ports are open, port number 80 and port number 443. Here, I am taking another IP address for port scanning. Its scanning report shows 998 closed ports and 2 ports are open, port number 135 and port number 445. Both are using TCP connections and the services running over these ports are MSRPC and Microsoft DS. You can see here it is also showing MAC address and already showing that host is up. Okay. Now comes to operating system scanning. Operating system scanning is one of the powerful feature of Nmap. Some operating system responds with specific messages in response to certain request. Suppose I'm sending a certain request to a machine and if machine is running Windows, its response is different. And if the machine is running Linux, its response is different than Windows. On the basis of different responses, we can guess which operating system is this. Sometimes it is showing version of operating system also. Actually, we are doing here some kind of TCP IP fingerprinting because TCP IP stack implementation is slightly different in different operating systems. So responses from different operating system is different for a certain request. There are various kind of requests you can send, like you can send FIN probe or bogus flag probe, TCP initial sequence number, TCP initial window size, or acknowledgement value. There are lots of request packets you can send to guess which operating system and which version is running on the target machine. When the responses comes back from target, it compares this responses to a database of more than 2600 operating systems and return information on the operating system and versions of a host. Okay. Okay, here command used for operating system detection is nmap, then dash O for operating system detection, and then target IP address. Here again, I am taking the same example for port scanning and host discovery 157.240.16.35. In this operating system scanning report, it is showing a warning which is marked red in this screenshot. OS scan results may be unreliable because we could not find at least one open and one closed port for correct operating system detection. Means it requires at least one open port and one closed port for determining correct operating system. But here only two ports which are open is showing. That's why this result is unreliable. It is also showing uh, that target machine is a general purpose switch. You can see it is marked yellow. Okay. Now comes to service version detection using -SV option. We can also detect using Nmap what versions of services are running over the target machine. For service version detection, we are using the command nmap-sv and then target IP address. Okay. So what's the use of service version detection? Because certain versions of services have known vulnerabilities, and that's why an attacker is trying to find out vulnerable versions of service, and if find, then it can easily exploitable by using ready-made exploits. Okay. Here two services are running, HTTP and HTTPS, but it is not showing its versions. So what can we do? Okay, we can check one more IP address for service version detection. Maybe we find some services with versions. Okay. Okay, let's check another ID, IP address 10.0.2.3. Oh, great. It is showing a number of services running and also their versions. Here, one service is MSRPC and version is Microsoft Windows RPC, which is running on port number 135, but its version is not showing. Okay, another service is HTTP, which is running on port number 2869 and 5357, and its version is also shown. It is Microsoft HTTP API HTTPD 2.0 with some details. Okay, now you can check, are any of these services vulnerable and any exploit is available for these services? If yes, then you can exploit that vulnerability. Okay. Now comes to scripts in Nmap. This is very powerful feature, or you can say utility available in Nmap. In Nmap, you have learned about the commands. Now you can use these commands to develop scripts. In Nmap, different scripts are available to perform various operations. The scripts can have their own specific requirements, like some services running. If that service is not running, then it will not work. Maybe it required some ports open, uh, etc. Only if the requirements are satisfied, then it will run. Otherwise, it will not run. And the general format of command to run scripts in Nmap is a dash dash a script, then a script name, and port number if required. It is not mandatory. And then target IP address. For example, we can use the command dash dash a script vulnerability to check vulnerability in a system. In this slide, you can see I'm using the command for vulnerability scanning. Here I am using the script vulnerability vuln to check vulnerability in a system. Type the command nmap dash dash script vuln, then target IP address, which is 157.240.16.35. And here the scanning report shows there is a vulnerability named HTTP cross domain XML, and the state is likely vulnerable. You can see both are marked with yellow and red. Now, if you find an exploit for this vulnerability, you can exploit it. Okay. Now let us discuss some issues. There are some issues which you need to understand and remember. First, we are talking about issues from system admin point of view. Suppose you are system admin and you would like to know whether your network is subject to any attack, whether any attacker is performing Nmap and gather your network information, scanning your network. So how do you detect it? Logs are the best place to detect it. Logs contains all the information like what kind of packets are coming into your network, what activities performed, what kind of connections made with your network, and many more information. Actually, log contains a huge data, and if you want to analyze it, you have to spend more time. So you have to do data mining and then can get some interesting and valuable information. Next, you should identify the connections which are not properly terminated. Suppose a connection is established, but that connection was not requested to terminate. Maybe that connection was an attempt to check whether that any particular port is open or not. Next is analyze port usage. Means some requests are coming for a particular port, but after that no packet transmission. So you can suspect that port because if connection is established, definitely it is for some transmission But if no packets are coming on that particular port, means something suspicious is going on. Now, if you think on the point of view of the scanner or ethical hackers, how to avoid detection? First thing you do that, never scan ports in sequence like 1, 2, 3 and so on, because log records all the information and network admin can easily see that someone is scanning your network ports. So randomize the port numbers to scan. Then it will be difficult to guess. Next is slow scan. Generally scanning is very fast, but if you send only 2 packets per day for scanning, it is very difficult to analyze, but it takes maybe 1 or 2 months to perform an attack. Next, always use spoofed address to attack so your identity will not get exposed. And use multiple scanners to scan the same host or network. Okay. Now I'm presenting some common Nmap scan options. First one is for scan a single target with default option, which we already used. Nmap and then target IP address, or Nmap and target domain name. Next is if you want to scan multiple hosts at the same time, then you can use the command like this, Nmap, then IP address of one target, IP address of next target, IP address of next target. And if you want to scan a range of IP addresses, then you can type Nmap and the target IP address like 162.241.16.100 to 150. Okay. And if you want to scan entire subnet, then can use the command nmap, then target IP address like 162.241.16.0 and then /24. Okay, in this lecture, we have talked about scanning of networks and how to perform scanning using Nmap tool. Hope this lecture will help you to understand scanning. Thank you.